allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Under board comments, I have some quick little things. First, I would like to congratulate and thank the school building committee. They passed a majority vote to build a new junior, senior high school Saturday. They did a lot of work. The vote was widespread, very good, very good. It was a lot of hard work, a lot of time. I think they did an outstanding job. The committee, the school committee, the superintendent, Loxie, John Londo, Mike Macklin, that whole team, the Board of Selectmen were all there embracing it, and it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of time that they're taking away from their family, supporting that. I want to thank the residents of Lunenburg. When they see what the actual money is going to, they support it, and they did a lot of presentations week after week so people could be educated and informed on what exactly the school is going to cost, how the money was broken down between the town, between the state. So again, I just want to thank them for all their hard work, because it's not easy balancing a family and then doing all that on top of it. So thank you for that. I also want to thank my peer here, Nathan, for the town meeting. I was unable to attend. I had the flu, and Nathan did a great job. Actually, Charlie McKenna called me. She had called me a couple months ago. I'm very concerned about marijuana clinics coming into Lunenburg, dispensaries, and but she had said, you did a great job. You were very detailed, very specific. You stayed very calm. You and Toby were the educated ones, she said, and did a great job, and I thank you for that. For doing that at last minute. It was greatly appreciated.
Oh, no problem.
Okay, any other board comment?
I do.
Yes.
Well, I'd like to congratulate everyone who worked on the school. I understand the need for it, but it also brings up a very real issue that we as a board are going to have to tackle, and everyone in town is going to have to tackle, because I pulled out a piece of paperwork that MRPC gave us when they presented to us of all the tax rates in the Montechusett region. And of the 22 communities, this new override puts us at the highest tax rate of all 22 communities.
Jeez.
And that highest residential tax rate, other towns adjust their commercial and industrial rates too.
Yes.
We are a flat rate town.
Yes.
So we are the fourth highest commercial and industrial rate as well. So it doesn't help attract any business to town in that manner. So we're going to have to really work to find some way to get over that hurdle, get those numbers down, and get more business in here.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Good research, Damon. Thank you.
Thank you, Damon.
Any other board comments? And again, great job, Nathan, with all your hard work. Anything else? Okay, let's go right into, we have a public hearing.
Are you going to ask for public comment?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Thank you, Toby. Any public comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll go into our public hearing. So I would accept a motion to go into a public hearing for 50 Elmwood Road subdivision.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay. The Lunenburg Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Monday, January 13th, 2014 at 6:35 p.m. at the Town Hall, 17 Main Street, Lunenburg, Mass. to hear and discuss an application under Section 3.4 of the Rules and Regulations governing the subdivision of land, Lunenburg Planning Board. The application is for a 9-lot subdivision at 50 Elmwood Road, map 068, parcel 0017 in Lunenburg, Mass. Property owner is Mark Ewan, 70 Elmwood Road. Applicant is Michael Crowley, 320 Joslin Street, Leominster, Mass. 01453. Copies are in file in the planning office at 960 Massachusetts Ave, Lunenburg, Mass. Notice of said hearing will be posted in all the usual posting places. So we posted the public hearing, we have it in the newspapers, and that's all on file. The abutters were notified. So presenting today.
Good evening. Wesley Fliss, Whitman & Bingham Associates.
Hi, Wesley, how are you?
How are you doing this evening?
Good, very good.
I'm here on behalf of Mike Crowley, who is the applicant on the project.
Okay.
Mr. Crowley has a P&S with the Ewens for the piece of property at 50 Elmwood Road in Lunenburg. The piece of property they're looking at here, like I said, is at 50 Elmwood Road. Elmwood Road being here, running to the north to Mass Ave Route 2A. The piece of property that we're looking at this evening is about approximately 20 acres. The piece of property actually extends further off to the north of the page, and a portion of the property is actually up here on the south of the piece of property also. There's an existing house located just to the south. There was an A&R plan done to take off this piece of property a while ago, and there's also another single-family house adjacent to the property. And those are the two closest pieces of property to the development that we're looking at this evening. The reason we're in front of you this evening is for a definitive subdivision application for a 9-lot subdivision, like I said, off of Elmwood Road. When we took a look at this piece of property, we looked at basically the usable space on the piece of property. We have a number of environmental concerns or issues to work around. We have a system of wetlands that runs through here and then around out to the back, up to that southerly portion of the property. We also have a perennial stream that runs along the western boundary of the property. And so we are within the 100-foot riparian zone, and then the 200-foot riparian zone was what you saw on the plan also there. We also are within an area that's listed for endangered species, which will be filed already with Natural Heritage with regards to that also. Because of the environmental concerns, the wetlands and the riparian zone and so forth, we also have filed with the Conservation Commission, and we do have a meeting with them later on this week for that filing with the notice of intent for the subdivision that you see in front of you. When we looked at developing this piece of property, like I said, we looked at the environmental concerns, we looked at where the best place to put the roadway is, where the best place to put the houses were. And so what we chose is basically this area here that we considered really the upland area to really get into and to access that area to get into our 9 lots. And so what we propose here is a 750-foot linear foot road out to the cul-de-sac. And like I said, there are 9 lots fronting off of the new cul-de-sac. The roadway is designed to the standards of the subdivision rules and regulations. The only waiver for the roadway that we're looking for is the dead-end length road.
Of 650 to 750?
650 to 750, 100 feet, correct. And again, like I said, what we're looking at is trying to get further back into the property, what we were looking as the main piece of property to develop at the upland of the piece of property. Another existing feature that we looked at also on this piece of property is zoning out here. The zone line on the piece of property runs in this area here, with the upper portion of that zone line being the outlying zoning district, and the lower portion of that being the residential A zoning district. Residence A, as you know, is a 40,000 square foot per lot, and outlying is 80,000 square foot per lot. And so that, like I said, zoning line also played into effect of where we were developing the piece of property. The applicant, during our conceptual phases, had contact with the building inspector with regards to that, the zoning line, and with regards to house placement, with regards to, excuse me, in the proper zones that the houses need to be placed. I know there was a question from Mr. Johnson, who is the peer review engineer from Ross Associates, regarding that zoning, and so I just want to kind of clarify that now, that we have talked with the building inspector, and actually a while ago, like I said, during the conceptual phase that we were looking at this, before we get to the real design of this subdivision. Again, looking at also trying to make developable lots, we did a number of soil tests out here because everything out here is going to be on septic systems. And so we went and did our soil testing out here, found that the groundwater depth was deeper than 10 feet. And so we had a little bit of play there with regards to septic systems, not having a mounted system. We had a little bit of play with having all the systems suppressed in the ground. It also gave us a little more flexibility with regards to the design of the roadway. And so what we tried doing is basically cutting out a portion of the site here so that we can have flatter lots and also more manageable backyards with regards to these lots here also. Another concern that was brought up is just, why are we doing the grading the way we are? Again, we were trying to make the lots as sellable as possible, as usable as possible. And so what we're looking at is trying to make some flatter rear yards where they would be a walkout basement on these houses. And then we would have the elevation difference here, and then everything up here would be back on that first floor elevation. The roadway here only slopes up slightly, and then everything basically is flat up and down out to the back of the cul-de-sac. The site is very flat from here back, and again, it kind of sets up nice, at least with regards to the development that we're looking at there. And again, like I said, because we knew the site constraints, we knew we had good depth of groundwater out here, we were able to show that cut there within that roadway. As I said, the development will be serviced by private individual septic systems for each lot, and also be serviced by the municipal water system out in Elmwood Road. Additionally, we do have a drainage system associated with the roadway, where we have a smaller infiltration basin located here in the southerly portion of the site, and a larger basin here located between lot 8 and 7 up in this area here. Again, both basins are designed to be infiltration basins. Like I said, we are filing with the Conservation Commission. There are certain standards that the state has that we need to meet with regards to recharge. We meet those requirements. Excuse me. And so that's why, again, we are showing those basins as infiltration basins. We do have the soil types out here that really allows the use of an infiltration basin, as that basin is being an entirely infiltration basin also. Along with the plans that we submitted to the board, we also submitted drainage calculations. The plans and the calculations were reviewed by Ross Associates. I do have with me this evening updated plans, updated drainage calculations, and an updated response letter. One copy for the board, one copy for Ross Associates, that we feel at least address most of the issues. I think there are probably one or two issues that basically need to be decided by the board. Mr. Johnson made a just reference to those items, and if I don't know at what point you would like to go over those items, if you would like Mr. Johnson to speak first, or if you want to go right into those items that probably need more clarification basically by the board, we could do that now. It's up to however the board wants to handle that.
I would probably have Jesse give his overall, and then you guys can kind of go question to question
Okay, and that's fine with me too.
while we're all in the same room.
And again, as I stated, the development's pretty simple. It's 750 feet of roadway to service 9 lots. We're going to be obviously in front of the Board of Health for any septic systems. We're already in front of the Conservation Commission this week. Like I said, we've already talked to the building inspector about the zoning issue. And so from that standpoint, like I said, the development's very cut and dry, at least with regards to waivers, other than the one waiver that I think there's some discussion maybe from the board's standpoint. There are a few other waivers that we requested, but in your subdivision rules and regulations, there's a list of waivers that you typically waive for a small subdivision of 10 lots or less. And so that's why we asked for those waivers. Waivers including no sidewalks in this development because we're only at 9 lots. There are a couple forms that need to be submitted if it's 10 or more lots. We requested waivers for those lots. Mr. Johnson, I think, is in agreement with a lot of those issues. And again, at this point, I guess we can turn it over to Jesse if you'd like to kind of get into his report, and then we can give responses and go from there if you like.
That's great.
Could you just,
Yes.
for a moment, kind of just walk me through the zoning boundary?
Sure, and I know it's tough to see here on the colored plan, but I don't know if the zoning line runs basically right through Elmwood Road here, and then it takes almost like a 90-degree turn to the right, to the east, and then runs along here. And then actually, it takes an odd dive in this direction here, but comes back up and then out basically through the lot. It's kind of an odd-shaped zoning delineation.
Where's the north and south on that?
Here's the north, and here's the south.
So, I guess on
So on the north side of that line is Residence A. On the lower part of that line is Residence A, which is the 40,000 square foot lots. And on the upper side of that line is the 80,000 square foot lots. And so that's where, again, because we located the houses within the Residence A district, the building inspector's interpretation was that wherever the house is dictates the zoning district.
okay.
Any other questions for Wesley before Jesse comes up? Okay. Oh, one moment. Go ahead, Nathan.
Just a quick questions. I can wait till let Jesse do his thing first too, whatever works. But you mentioned do you think your decision about where to locate the houses would have been different if that were not a consideration?
If the zone, it may, to be honest with you, actually, the other thing that we have to worry about is 100-foot buffer zone from the wetlands also. And so when we were looking at the septic systems, we had to stay out of the 100-foot buffer zone from the wetlands. And so that basically forces where the systems have to go. The systems have to go more toward the front of the lot.
To be away from the northernly wetlands?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And so, like I said, we looked at site considerations and so forth. we looked at a number of different options out there with the way the development's set up.
Another question for you. Speaking of septic, just out of curiosity, so I'm just curious about this. I'm not trying to say you should have to do it differently, should have done it differently, but the sewer line runs out Mass Ave now, I think. Was connecting to this, is that connecting to that sewer line a possibility, or?
I think it's always a possibility necessarily, but I'd have to take a look at the capacity of that line and see where it goes. Because of the length from there out to Mass Ave, the cost of extending that sewer main isn't quite economical for 9 lots.
How
Because isn't it only at the primary school? Is that where it stops?
There was a main that was put all the way down to service the trailer park. But
Oh,
one-
that's
but
right.
One of the first things
Middle.
we would have to look at first is to go to the sewer commission and see if that's in what they as designated as a sewer district. So it may not be within the sewer district to be even eligible to have public sewer, so that's a whole different conversation. And that's really within the purview of the sewer commission.
sewer commission? How far up Elmwood are we talking, though? I mean, this 50, roughly speaking, is it a?
The sugar mill, right? I don't know, maybe 1,000 feet or so.
1,000 feet,
Maybe
okay.
a little more than 1,000 feet, just scaling off of the plan that I had there.
And I'm sorry, but just out of curiosity, because I don't know this. Let's say hypothetically, let's say it was in a sewer district, it could be connected. Is that cost prohibitive to connect a development like?
For 1,200 linear feet, it becomes it may actually become cost prohibitive at that point. It's a matter of doing the math and figuring out if the cost of each septic system kind of washes. And the problem with bringing sewer to a site, it's an upfront cost the developer has to take under right at the beginning of the project, where septic system's a per lot cost.
Gotcha.
And so that's where you become, there's a certain distance that almost becomes, it doesn't become economically feasible really for something like this. Like I said, we're only looking at 9 lots, so.
Hamilton, thank you, John.
All right, we'll have Jesse come up.
Hello.
Hi, Jesse.
So, looking at my
Jesse,
letter,
introduce yourself.
sure. Jesse Johnson, David Ross Associates.
He's the peer review engineer for the town. Go ahead.
Looking at my letter, it might look like a lot of comments, but what I did was the first part of them, I go through your rules and regulations and just see from a submission standpoint what the book says has to be submitted or should be submitted for a typical subdivision. So I just noted where there might have been omissions or deficiencies on the application, and it's up to the board to decide, or the applicant if they want to ask for a waiver from that, or if they want to just comply and add it to their plans or their submission package. So that's what I did through there. The only ones I would really highlight would be the last one on the first page, where there is a significant amount of material that's proposed to come off the site, just to level it off as the applicant had mentioned. And it's all nice material, so I would imagine it's meant to go somewhere, and you'd probably want them to quantify that and maybe give you some details on what their trucking route is going to be and how they're going to go about that. You do have a form set up in your bylaws that's typically filled out for that. I referenced it in the letter, it's Form N. So I would ask for that to be filled out by the applicant and to give you an idea of what type of gravel or sand is coming off the site to create the project. The next one I would point out in this section of my comments would be on the second page, the first one. They requested a waiver from submission of a tree plan, which would also omit the requirement for having street trees. Up to the board if they want to require that or not. I would just say keep in mind they are essentially clear cutting the lot to take the gravel out and create the level pad to construct the roadway and the homes. So you'll have a pretty much a subdivision road that enters in with only with no sidewalk or anything. So you won't have anything alongside of the roadway to frame it. It wouldn't be a big deal to ask for street trees to be provided. Again, that's typical of most subdivision and entirely up to the board if you'd like to ask for that or not. Going to the design standards, again, I just go through your design standards that are listed in your requirements and note the ones that were, it appears to be omissions or deficiencies. Wes did mention the length of the roadway being 100 feet in excess of what your requirements are. You have granted that waiver in the past. You've just asked that the applicant justify their reasoning. It sounds like Wes is pointing to they need it because of the area in the lot that needs to be developed and to try to stay out of some of the buffer zones. I can see where they went that route, but also if they shortened it by 100 feet, it wouldn't necessarily kill the project, but they would essentially lose 2 lots at a minimum. So it's a matter of how many homes do you want on this cul-de-sac? Do you want 7 or do you want 9? It can support 9. It's not unreasonable. That's not a high density to have on a 750-foot road. So again, that's something that the board may want to decide on and deliberate. Moving on to the plan set, this would be more of some of my opinions and views of what I think should be added to the plan or some of the deficiencies. The first one is the one Wes had touched upon with the split in the zoning through the project. I did raise the issue of how is that determined. I think a critical thing would be to get some type of written response from your building inspector as far as how that zoning district line is defined. You'd want it to be defined by some type of measurable means. For instance, some type of survey that could be done to define it by a meets and bounds or distances. Otherwise, you're basically relying on a plan that has a line on it that they have to scan in, bring into CAD and trace over. And because they do show some of these homes very close to that line, establishment of that zoning line is going to be critical. Excuse me, but once the line is established, then it's easier for the contractor to stake out where the houses are going to go and ensure that they're going to be constructed within that zoning district. I did have an informal discussion with Mike about this issue. He did confirm that he had talked to the applicant about this a while back, that he had consulted with town council, and it was their opinion that if the homes were built on a particular zoning district, that zoning district's requirements are what you have to meet. But I would certainly encourage you to get that from him in writing and not just take my word for it. But again, I would point to more of establishment of the line being the more critical thing, is find out from the applicant how they came upon putting that line in the plan, and also maybe a discussion with Mike as far as what the record information was that originally established that line. And then going through the remaining of my comments, that was more of housekeeping, suggestions for changes to drainage. No showstoppers. I think they're all things that can be addressed and might even have been addressed in their latest requirements or latest revisions. But I can certainly go over any of the other ones that Wes might have questions on, or the board might have questions on.
That would be great. Yep. Oh, does anybody have questions for Jesse?
I have questions.
Okay.
Jesse, I believe somewhere in your review letter, you mentioned something about the drainage testing.
The drainage?
The testing?
Yes.
The soil testing?
Yeah.
Have they performed the testing adequate for the 9 lots proposed?
It appears like there's a number of test holes. I did ask for a different scale on the plan that they submitted that showed where the testing locations were done. Didn't really allow me to verify where they were in relation to the drainage infrastructure of some of the homes, but all the results were consistent. Seems like it's consistent sand and gravels, groundwater nowhere to be seen as far as the depths that they dug to. I just wanted to see something on record a little bit more clear as far as where the locations were.
No, excuse me. Do you recall if there were any refusals?
No, I don't recall any. I think they just might have stopped at the standard 10-foot depth that you typically test for septics, but I don't remember any refusals off the top.
So what would your take be on a proposed septic system on an 8-foot cut?
Again, from the testing they had done, it appeared like they had done some on the perimeters or the outside where the cuts weren't as dramatic. The biggest cuts are through the center of the project, but they had done some at the lower elevations. And with that type of sandy material, and to be getting a 10-foot depth off on the side, then I would expect to have the same in the middle, so I wouldn't see any issue with that. But I could confirm that again, though, obviously, when I get better mapping, but because the testing is so consistent and the material is so consistent, what we typically see with that type of sandy soil like that is, I wouldn't see that being any issue.
Okay. Good, thank you.
Is that it?
For now, yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Any other questions for Jesse before Wesley comes back up?
No, not at the moment.
Okay. Nathan, go ahead.
Jesse, you mentioned that with us, if the dead end street were compliant with, is it 600 feet is our
650.
650? You don't think the two end lots would still be viable, even like with a reconfiguration on the end there, or a longer driveway or something?
It'd be more, they'd lose frontage. I think they would lose the frontage on at least both sides to probably squeeze out 2 lots is what would end up happening.
Gotcha.
That's usually what you usually elongate your dead-end roads to get the extra lot on both sides flanking it. It doesn't affect the ones at the end on the cul-de-sac, only it's the ones on either side on the stem.
I see. Thanks for explaining.
Another question on the cul-de-sac, sorry.
Sure.
Could they enlarge the radius of the cul-de-sac to compensate for the lost frontage?
Sure, that's sometimes an option. It's usually not prohibited in regulations. Sometimes towns don't like to see it because it's unusual if it's not within their standard, but it has been practiced in the past. Yeah.
Great, thank you. I'm good for now, thanks.
Anything else? All right, Wesley, come on back.
Okay. There weren't any of the, like I said, Jesse, I think it's pretty much said it. There was nothing in here that is a showstopper, any of the comments. We made the changes that we thought were necessary to address any of the issues. We updated our drainage calculations, and we also updated the set of plans. I have a copy, like I said, a copy for the board of each document, and also a copy for Mr. Johnson for him to take home this evening of each document, with also a response letter. Like I said, the only issue that really, I think, one of the big issues is the discussion about the dead end length. Obviously, we can have a discussion about the street trees also. I don't think it's something that's going to stop the developer from going forth. It was just, like I said, we went through the subdivision regulations. There's a list at the end of the subdivision regulations that are basically stated that, you know, these are typically waived, and that's why we asked for that waiver. If the board feels that you don't want to grant that waiver, again, it's not going to, I don't think, break the bank of the developer, hopefully not. That, but again, that was the reason for that,
Okay,
that
perfect.
waiver request. And again, like I said, the big thing for that, the length of the cul-de-sac was just, if you can see on the upper portion of that where that A&R lot's kind of taken out the existing houses out of there, it's kind of basically dead space for us. And so we were basically trying to make up for that extra space that we lost there. And that's really the big thing. We were trying to get back to the upland area that in the back of the property there, and that was the reason for that, length of the roadway. The soil testing, just so, in the document, we do have all the soil test logs for all the lots that we had done. I think Mr. Johnson might already have them before, but again, we included them in there. Also, included the maps that were requested, the larger scale maps for the delineations for the watersheds, for the drainage calcs, and also for the testing that was actually requested. I know, I think we're pretty much all set with regards to the witnessing of the testing. I believe that was forwarded along also, is the Board of Health did actually witness all the testing that was done out there with regards to the systems testing. It was done, I believe, looking at the Sears, 2007. And other than that, like I said, we made all the changes that were requested, included all the information that was requested also that maybe necessarily didn't need a change to the plans, but just an updated set of information for that. And so what I'll do is, like I said, I'll give Mr. Johnson his copy, give you your copy. Understand that, we understand that obviously there's time that needed to be done to review our additional information. But if there's any other questions that the board has with regards to the plans that are in front of you, we can obviously answer them tonight as much as we can, and then I don't know, answer as many of the abutters questions as we can and go from there. So.
And you said you were going to conservation
Correct. I believe it's Wednesday night.
Wednesday this week? Okay.
I might have wrote a couple notes on.
Thank you. I'll leave that for Marion. Thank you. Okay. And Jesse, do you have anything to respond to Wesley on?
No?
Okay. Any other questions from the board for Jesse or Wesley before we open it up for public comment?
I think I'd rather hear from the public and
First,
so
okay.
first, yeah.
Anybody else? Okay, before we go to the public, I just want to make sure everybody signed in. You need to sign in. There's a sign-in sheet at the end of that table. So just please, before you leave, make sure you sign that. And does anybody have any questions from the public?
Are you asking for proponents of the project?
No, anybody. Don't need to signify. Yep, come on up.
Hi, I'm on 90 Elmwood Road, Marcel. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. I just have a question about the septic system.
Sure.
Is it a master septic system or individuals?
I believe individual.
Okay. And what would the price range be approximately for each home, just to get a ballpark?
Not even at that point yet, I guess.
Do you have any square footage in mind? Like how much per square footage?
Standard, if it's colonials, it's standard, I think, around 40 to 30, 40 by 30 or something like that, or maybe bigger. It all depends on who's buying the houses. I think it's going to be a lot of options with regards to what's being built there. So.
Okay, only because we want to keep the flavor of the neighborhood, which are
Right,
pretty...
I'm knowing how the developer probably went in, I'm sure it's not going to be the small house. Probably.
Okay, I don't want to assume anything, yeah, I know, I'm just checking. Any 40Bs going in there?
No, it's not a 40B, no, this is not
Okay.
a 40B development, no.
Okay, just checking. That's it, thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
No, that's what we're here for. Ask any questions. Any other questions? Okay, well, I thank you all for coming. So now what we'll do is Marion will take all of this in 2 weeks. They'll have peer reviews with the fire, police, conservation. They'll go through all that, the standard, the checks in there, all that. Did you already give Marion the
Yeah,
check?
it's all there.
That's all cared for, perfect. And I forgot to apologize, I forgot to say, Ms. Benson's not with us this evening. She wasn't feeling well. So that was a last-minute cancellation there. I never said that at the beginning, and I apologize for that. But so we'll start that review, and I think we need to set another date to continue this. Come up with some findings, directives, talk about the couple things in question, the driveway. Also, Jesse and his thing noted, for Wesley, I'm having flashbacks of a park. So those types of things that we need to talk about in the subdivision. So,
I do have a question for,
yes,
for Wes.
okay.
I just have some curiosity. I see a couple of lots here that have 175 feet of frontage, and in the zoning, it only requires 100. So I'm just wondering, is reducing the frontage on some of those lots, would that eliminate the need for a 750-foot?
It's the lot width through a house is the 175 feet.
Correct.
So that's where it makes it a lot more difficult. We've done in the past where we've tried cutting out 100 feet here and 100 feet there, but then you'd have to have enough room to flare it out in the back to get to the 175 feet. Like I said, we went through a number of iterations on this trying to get, obviously, even 500 feet of roadway with 8 houses or 9 houses or whatever it ends up being. But because of the way the regulation is written with regards to the 175 feet through the house, it makes it very difficult to keep 100 foot of frontage without having it on the cul-de-sac. When you're on the cul-de-sac, it makes it a little easier, but if you're on a straight piece of road like that, it makes it very difficult to kind of work around. And then, like I said, with the other difficulty we have there is the 100-foot buffer zone in the back that we can't put any septic systems within, so.
Okay. All right, so I guess maybe your plan is just kind of throwing me off a little bit where it's colored there. So I'm assuming that the lots extend further back, as I
Correct.
see the lines here, so the homes are closer to the street than,
Correct. This is the back of the property. Dark black
Okay.
line
all
here.
right.
So this is the only part that,
Approximately how far, I guess, do the homes sit off of the road? on average?
We're probably looking 75 feet.
Okay, that answers my question then. All right, thank you.
What's the minimum setback in residence
I
A?
believe it's 40.
Yeah, I don't, it's on the plan. He has it written on the, one of the sheets here. I saw the zoning information.
Oh, front setback 40 feet.
Yeah, it's 40 feet. Front setback is 40 feet.
So, yeah, I guess I look forward to, and I understand we have some determinations we need to make as a board. I am kind of curious to hear what, I mean, obviously it's a sound project overall. There's a lot of things that could be done by right. I mean, at minimum, it looks like by right, they have whatever, 7 subdivisions. They would like 9, and that's kind of, there's some discretionary stuff there. I'm kind of curious, I'll be really interested to hear what Concom has to say about the area. Yeah, and also I'd be curious to find out if it is in fact in the sewer district or not, and even if it's not, what the sewer committee, hypothetically, I'd be curious about understanding from the sewer committee, like how a project like this fits into their outlook. As the sewer system develops over time, is this the kind of thing where they would like to eventually see areas like this that are sort of just getting off where the sewer is now incorporated into the system, or is there preference to see developments like this remain using septic systems? And I guess what's interesting to me about that is, I mean, there's a lot of decisions being driven by the septic situation here in terms of, distance from wetlands. It's even possibly affecting like where they're locating the houses on the lots. Whereas, you might, if this were a sewer connected project, you might be looking at different positioning of the houses. You might be looking at a different posture in terms of, maybe they wouldn't need to clear cut as much in terms of, tree removal and whatnot. So I'm just kind of curious of getting more information from sewer and from conservation. And from as we get that information, understand, what that means to the developer as well. But as we go into making our decisions about some of the waivers.
And I've only been to one peer review when I filled in for Marion at one time. Is sewer involved in the peer reviews?
You could request a comment, or you could ask for
Right, because I think that's what we
clarification.
would have to have Marion talk with Barbara and see if, because usually sewer, the client decides I want to do a septic or I want to hook up to sewer.
Right. So I guess if it's possible and it's not too inconvenient, I would like to solicit sewer
absolutely.
feedback, especially in a situation
So we'll
like
make
this.
that a point for Marion.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
mean, here's a situation where, you have a basically sound project where by right there's, probably at least 7 lots here, but there's also a request to, bump it to 9 and, so I would like to get sewer's perspective because in the grand scheme of things, it may matter in terms of the conservation view, the sewer view,
Yep.
and the developer view. There may be some interesting opportunities there.
Absolutely.
I certainly won't speak for the sewer commission, but I know that, just as an engineer, if you have ideal soils like this that can take a septic system, then that would be much lower down on the priority list to bring sewer to it, whereas they try to bring them to the lake areas that are tight and small, or areas that just have predominantly poor soils. So this is one of the better sites probably in town that for soils to have septics with homes. It might not be high on the priority list. I don't know if that affects them or not, but that's just my 2 cents on that.
No, that's great to know, and I'd be curious to see what do you think conservation would have a perspective on that as well? Like, would they prefer to see the stuff, the water recharged right there?
I think they're going to focus more on, they have a 200-foot riparian zone that there's showing work within 100-foot buffer zones, so I think they're going to focus more on that, and they're going to let natural heritage weigh in on endangered species territory potentially being affected. So I think that's what their primary focus will be.
So the septic versus sewer is just not a...
If it's out of the 100-foot buffer zone, yeah, they typically won't focus on it. And if there's disturbance within the buffer zone, like impervious surface and houses and things like that, then as long as the drainage calculations work and show that all the stormwater regs are met. That's typically what they want to hear.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, it seems to me looking at this, like the only thing that, like, let's say you did hypothetically, it may be totally cost prohibitive and not benefit enough to do sewer, but if you did, you might be able to move the houses 30 feet away from the wetlands, 30 feet closer to the street, and what's the other? You're reducing impervious surface a little bit just because you're cutting the driveways about in half, but that may not be a big deal. I mean, driveways may not be that big a deal.
Yeah, when you're on sewer, a lot of things could change for it. The lot density could change. It could change dramatically if they were, but I think, as Wes had mentioned, it's, I think about 1,000 feet or a little bit over to the road. Because you do have requirements in your bylaws that say, I want to say it's if you're within 300 feet,
You have to.
you have to do it.
Okay.
So they do have a cutoff point for the location distance, and I'm sure they put in a lot of consideration to come up with that number.
Thanks a lot.
Sure.
And the conservation isn't getting she's shaking her head telling you she's agreeing with what Jesse said.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're talking about. Okay.
I'd like to jump on that as well.
Oh, go ahead, please.
I think there may also be a larger number offset from existing sewerage to provide access, ability to connect to a sewage system. I'm not sure about our bylaws. I know other towns have a similar bylaw that if they're within a certain amount of distance, they need to connect, but if they're within a certain larger distance from existing sewage, they need to provide the option to connect in the construction. Are you aware of anything like that?
Not in your bylaws, I'm not.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so do we want to talk a little bit about the driveway and a couple of the points that were brought up tonight? Do we want to think about it and have another public hearing? What are your thoughts on?
I'm not sure we'd need the public hearing, but we definitely need to talk more about it. Definitely need discussion.
Personally, I kind of want to understand, because we have a discretionary waiver, I'd like to understand at least what conservation's perspective is before moving forward.
Okay. I didn't know if we wanted to talk about just their bullets they gave us, the driveway, the length of the driveway, and
The tree.
the trees.
Yeah, both of those I definitely want to understand conservation's perspective before making a decision.
Well, I definitely am for the trees. I want the environment to look as undisturbed as possible. That's always been, so I would look at doing the trees for me at the
Definitely
beginning
street
of the
trees.
lot.
Yeah, I would appreciate the tree plan as well. I think one of the requirements is mapping existing trees that are there, possibly. Yes.
Yeah, if
And-
it's a certain size, you usually want to see where they are if they're taken out.
Yeah, I understand the regrading and everything, but if there were any large caliper existing trees that could be saved, that would be beneficial too.
Yeah, the way they've designed it, because it's pretty steep when if you drive by the site, you give you some perspective on it, but when it comes off the road, it goes up pretty steep and then it levels out. So in order to create what I'm assuming is what they wanted to do, create a relatively level area near the entrance, which is desirable for a subdivision road, they really had to shave essentially the top off of this whole site. It's just, in order to do that and match grades around the outside, that's forcing them to essentially clear cut and take out the whole perimeter of trees right up through the inside. So even if you have something that's inside that's a nice specimen, it's got to come out in order to go down to the grades they need to establish. So that's why I thought if you're opening this site up that much and you can't save any trees, which you sometimes ask your applicants to do, then put something back along the roadway.
And I would support that. That's just me, one member.
I would like some clarification on these two buildings to be raised. Is one of these the existing sugar house at the proposed driver? So the one that's closer to the road is the existing sugar house, and the one that's further back is the existing home?
So it's right there off of Flat Hill. I'm off of Mass Ave.
the garage, I believe, is the one closer to the sugar house in the further one back, right? It's another garage. Yeah. There's an additional garage in the front there.
Okay.
And the house is that.
Okay.
So that's why I know there was a comment from Mr. Johnson with regards to the driveway connecting the house and the sugar house. And so there is actually a driveway from the house out to Elmwood Road,
Okay.
which I don't think it shows clearly enough on the plan.
Yeah, I just
But I-
wanted to note it on the plans.
Yeah, and so it was added to the plan, but that was a question, just make sure there was access from the existing house that's gonna remain on that A&R lot. And when the sugar house comes down, there's no more connection there, so.
Okay.
How old is the building being demolished? Do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head, I don't remember what the, I should have printed out the assessor's card for you
All
about
right.
that.
If it's more than 75 years old, I'd just say to make sure you go through the Historic Commission.
Okay.
I guess the one thing that I would like to have is a letter or something from the zoning official in regards to how they made the determination on what the lot sizes would be based on,
Resident A, Resident B?
yeah,
That-
outlying in Residence A, yeah.
I wrote that for a note for Marion.
Okay, so if it's also, if the building official also talked to town council, I'd like to make sure that we have that as too as part of our records. So that's all I have.
Okay, so do we want to continue
Need the public hearing?
the public hearing, close the public hearing?
I guess in my opinion, I would say that it's okay to close the public hearing portion here. I think all the rest of the conversation are relative really to the board-related issues that will have some determination and impact on the overall plan once we get the information that we desire, so.
Okay. So I would accept a motion to close the public hearing on 50 Elmwood.
I make the motion to close the public hearing on 50 Elmwood Road.
Do I have a
I'll
second?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. All right, and so we will have this on the agenda to talk about the outstanding issues.
And Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Yeah, please.
anybody that's in the audience, it doesn't have to be a public hearing for you to come here and watch us as a board.
Yes, the public's always welcome, and the
Public is always
agendas are
welcome.
always posted. You'll see. Yes, sir, can you come to the mic, please? Yeah. Thank you. Can you come to the mic, please? Thank you.
Yeah, my name's Ralph Marshall, 90 Elmwood Road, Lunenburg.
How are
I just
you?
wonder if we could get a map, the abutters could get a map of that, so we can
Yeah,
look at it?
it is on our website. The whole plan is on the website,
Yeah.
but they're at the planning board office. This is all public information, so they can get you a copy of it
Okay. very
right
good.
over at the Ritter Building.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming. And just make sure you sign up on the sheet if you have not, so we have your address. If there is anything, they will notify you. All right? Okay. I would now accept a motion to come out of public hearing to go back into our planning board meeting.
Do we have to set a date or no? Or are we-
No,
We're not continuing this.
We closed it, yeah, so we don't have to set a date.
I move that we come out of the public hearing and back into our regular open meeting.
Second it for me?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Bless you.
And Toby sneezing. All right. So now back to our regular scheduled meeting. Roll call public comment. Okay, now we have an A&R appointment for, at 6:55 for Catkin Family Revival Trust, 145 Page Street. Is that you again?
That's me again.
Hi, Jesse.
How are you? Jesse
Good, how are
Johnson,
you?
David Ross Associates. I am going to give you the submission. So, in accordance with your A&R procedures, you have provided the days listed on there. I'm going to show you in a minute. It's going to be 2 lots and a parcel. So we gave you 75 times 3 plus your 100.
Okay,
minimum.
and if there's a question, Marion will contact you.
Right, we've got everything on here. The only thing we don't have, we're gonna be requesting a waiver from, is you asked for the topography or contour plan.
Okay.
I'll just show you why we're asking for a waiver from that submission.
Okay. Do you want to just do two, or does everybody want their own?
Yeah, we can just do two, I think, that's fine.
So what do we have here, Jesse?
Okay, so this existing parcel on Page Street, and right now, current zoning is the outlying district. And you have one entire parcel that is within, as I understand it, the agricultural preservation restriction with an existing house, 145, an existing barn, their septic system. And what they want to do is carve off that existing house in its own lot that's going to be 17.78 acres. There's going to be a secondary lot, Lot 2, with 52.82 acres, having frontage on Page Street of 385 feet plus. Lot 1 will have 221 feet plus, both conforming to the outlying district. Lot 2 will remain in the conservation restriction, the agricultural restriction. Lot 1 will be a standalone residence lot, and then there's also a portion of land that's going to be a parcel, 1.41 acres, with just 20 feet of frontage that is intended to be conveyed to their neighbor. I believe it's a cousin of the family that's carving off the property. So they're going to create this additional parcel to add to their lot to just increase that lot size. So it's essentially creating two conforming lots. A third piece is going to be the parcel to be conveyed to an abutter. And again, Lot 2 will not have any structures on it. It's just a conservation piece of land. It has an existing cart path that we show on here. Oftentimes you guys ask to have a contour topography plan to show that you have viable access through it. So we're showing that there's a cart path there now to prove the access. And then also on the lot that is the current residence that's in existence, they have obviously their existing driveway and access through their frontage. So that's why we've asked to not have that extra expense of doing a contour plan.
So just visually for me, if I'm on this is the house that's for sale right now in Lot 1.
Yes,
And then there's all the cornfield that goes all the way back. It's
correct.
all part of Lot 2?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So how does that work with the agricultural preservation? Is only the Lot 2 area currently under that now?
As I understand it, the whole piece is, and I think, I don't know the legalities, if it has to be a right of first refusal that's offered up, if it's coming out for the existing lot. I wasn't the engineer that worked on this. I was just asked to cover for it tonight. But that could be, I could get a determination on that, or maybe the building inspector can confirm if that's already been discussed.
I'll put that up as a question.
Right.
Yep.
And that's a valid one. I don't have the answer for you, to be honest with you.
This is actually APR.
I'll read the note again. It's on the plan. It says Lot 2 is subject to the agricultural preservation restriction that's dated from 1995. It's with also the Commonwealth and the town, so it's a dual. But it was all one parcel before, so I would imagine that was over the entire parcel, but they're looking to have it just on Lot 2 now and taking the existing residence in Lot 1 and the parcel that's going to be created and conveyed to the neighbor out of that.
If I may, Mr. Chair?
Yes, please, go ahead.
My understanding of restriction is it's the step beyond being in chapter. The restriction, my understanding is that the owner receives the difference between the farmland value and the development value as a check or as money in perpetuity. So I guess there would be the legal question of removing it. If it is in fact in an APR, there certainly is a legal question there, as far as removing the house lot from it.
Yep. And we'll have Marion research that and have an answer for us. All right. Any other questions for Jesse from the board?
Yeah, the parcel A, it's certainly not a conforming lot, and as I heard you, it is to be transferred to the neighbor. Is there going to be some kind of a written description of that? I mean, a guarantee that that parcel will be transferred rather than become a standalone parcel?
There wasn't discussion of something being put in writing, but if the board would need something, I'm sure if it's a family thing.
Well,
But I don't know what else you could do with it. If it's only got 20 feet of frontage, it's not viable for anything else other than,
Well, that's the bigger issue, right?
Right.
Even though you call
Yeah.
it a parcel.
You can't
It
create,
feels like it's a non-conforming lot.
Yeah.
Even though it's called a parcel, so I just have to check with town council on that particular piece.
and not only that, it necks down.
So I'm a little concerned with that. I guess my preference would have been, Jesse, is to have Lot 1 come in with that parcel A still attached, and then come back later on and do an A&R and cut that piece off and add it to the other property, but,
rather than doing it all at once.
yeah.
What's your concern? If,
Is that it's never gonna transfer and it's gonna sit there, and then somebody's gonna come at some point in time and want to develop it.
well, minimum frontage in the state of Massachusetts is 50 feet. So if you have less than 50 feet, you don't have even a grandfathered lot at any time in the future.
But it's not common practice when you're doing a subdivision of land to purposely create something that's of a non-conforming use.
True, but I see it all the time where we often even create landlocked parcels to be conveyed to abutting property owners through the A&R process. It's the only process we really have to do that, unfortunately, is that as long as you're not causing an issue with an existing septic system or proposed reserve area, and you're not dealing with the frontage by taking away and creating a non-conforming lot, then that outlying parcel, if you will, that you're creating, yeah, there is the risk that it doesn't get conveyed to that neighbor, but it doesn't create a risk to the town to be a developable lot in the future, I guess.
It's just one of those things that we've created where nobody can do anything with it unless somebody ultimately wants to buy it.
I can talk to the surveyor and see if they can talk to the property owner to get something in writing, or maybe even discussion with Mike Savageau if,
Yeah, well, I think what I prefer is just if we could go to the building official and if he is okay with us with it being done this way, we'll take it at that,
okay,
all right?
I'll let them know that.
It's just typically not something that I would prefer to do.
Okay, we'll have Marion check with Mike on parcel A, and if you can have that as well, where Marion's not here.
Sure.
Thanks. Nathan, did you have?
Yeah, I mean, I guess now that I realize this is an APR property, I kind of share Matthew's concerns, and even if the building official was willing to do some of these things, I'd almost want to hear from legal before the building official approved any of the subdivision, because I mean, we're relying on the APR program. I think it's probably the best instrument we have in town for agricultural property preservation. It's better than the chapter land, and the chapter land depends on, the viability of the town's budget and ability to, acquire, to preserve when things become available. So I would be very hesitant to see any precedent set where we allowed subdivisions that were not supported by the intent of the APR. And, we're paying taxpayer money. The state's paying a lot of money to support the land acquisitions of the APR program. So, I mean, I would, I appreciate, what the resident wants to do, but I think the APR program, I want to make sure that I would definitely want to hear from legal regarding, how this should be treated before moving forward.
Yep, no, we all agree on that one. And we have it documented for Marion to get that answer for us at our next meeting. All right, what else? What other questions? Damon, are you?
No, I just share the same concerns with the preservation.
Yeah,
Okay.
The APR is a whole different,
Yeah, I'd like to know actually for myself.
I mean, I'm looking,
just as an added question for the public hearing piece, because we didn't raise the question, I don't know if any part of the property is in chapter or not. So if we could get clarity as to whether or not that property's in chapter.
On the 50 Elmwood? You're back on 50 Elmwood?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. To
to
have
make
Marion
sure,
check
because I
if
don't
that's
know.
in chapter, sure. We can do that. And this is the standard 2 weeks, peer review, all of that you know. Is there any questions from the public on this, on the 145 Page Street? All right, seeing none, is the board all set? Any other questions on 145? We'll have Marion research.
Yeah, I just would like to make clear, I don't know that we have any control of this, but I would like the building official to not take any action in terms of if he has any approval of it until we hear back from legal about that. Thanks.
Approval of what?
I don't know, was this presented as an A&R?
This is an A&R.
Okay.
Yes.
So hypothetically, let's say that it was not truly permitted by APR. What is the next?
Again, the APR is a whole separate process that's really outside of our context of what we're responsible for. If it's truly an A&R, we're just looking at frontage and lot area to see if it meets the requirements for an A&R. The APR will really become more of a state-regulated issue on whether or not the property can transfer. So that will really become a separate legal issue and not something that would really fall under zoning. Other than the fact that if it comes out of APR, I don't know if the town in an APR situation has the first right of refusal or not on a purchase. I know 61, Chapter 61 we do, but I don't know that in an APR situation that we do.
So who would review the subdivision for that issue? Would it be automatically happen when it was recorded at the registry, or what's the process for that?
Yeah, I think that any attorney that would be doing that work would know that it's an APR. It's going to have certain considerations that are going to have to be followed in order to do that. I don't even know that if you can subdivide an APR lot or not. I don't know.
Right, who's going to flag that, though? If you're saying it's not the planning board, so at what point in the process does someone say, oh, you submitted this subdivision, you're trying to record this subdivision land, and you're doing it on an APR?
Well, it's, I don't have an answer for that. I don't know.
Did we find out from legal?
Yeah, well,
the
that's
answer to
what
that?
we're gonna
Okay.
have
Okay,
Mary.
beautiful. All right, thanks.
We're going to have Marion call Joel.
I
and
feel
find out exactly.
really inadequate sometimes.
Yep, no. Yep, we are going to do that, and we will have an answer. I'm sure Jesse will be on the phone with Marion as well, trying to find the answer to
Sure.
that. Well, not you, whoever David Ross is
Yes.
handling, that you're covering for.
I'm covering for the next one as well.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'll just stay right
All
up here.
So before we leave
think so.
Page Street, is everybody all set at 145 Page?
Yep.
Marion's going to research the APR, get us our answers we need at our next meeting.
Excellent.
Okay, so let's cross that one off. We are now 710 Jeffrey Stone, 40 Page Street, which is the little green building on the corner, Page and Lancaster Avenue. All right, what do we got going on?
I thought you were, never mind, I'm
Oh,
up next.
you're not here?
I am here, but I'm here for the one after that.
You're here for Bashalia? Okay, so we're back to Wesley.
You guys really
On
got a
Page
lock on
Street.
business around here.
See, and I can keep it all together.
I'll just ship at least one down in this direction.
Does anybody need a clock though?
Need a coffee?
Oh, how is Steven?
Thank you.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. Not that you're not a nice guy either. Thank you. Here's our check. Perfect. What are we doing over at Mr. Stone's?
Just so you know, the application they have there should be a letter also from the Board of Health at the planning office
Okay.
regarding the existing building located on the piece of property that we're looking at tonight. What we're looking at doing is just cutting up the approximately 10.5 acre piece of property on Page Street into two properties, one being 5 acres, the other one being almost 5.6 acres. On the plan, we do show the upland area. We're in the Residence B zoning district, which is a requirement of 80,000 square feet. You can see even in the upland area, we have more than enough to meet the requirement of 80,000 square feet for the lot area. The lot 1, we're looking at about 318 feet of frontage, and then lot 2, we're looking at 243 feet approximately 243 feet of frontage. So we have more than enough frontage also to meet that requirement. On the plan, we do have the table of conformance that shows that we do meet all the zoning requirements. And then we also go through the deed references and plan references on the plan also. Again, it's very simple A&R plan in front of you. No surprises. We know we show the wetlands and the stream through the property, show the area of wetlands, so we can do our upland calcs as required by the board. We also do have a easement on the back of the property here to the south of the property. Like I said, I know the Board of Health was supposed to send over a letter to the planning office, and I believe the assessor's office was supposed to send over the abutters list also to the planning office. I'm not sure if Marion was in today or not, if she received those, but I know they're supposed to get over there. We had talked to the Board of Health today and couldn't get hold of the assessor's office though today to see if they actually did get over there. But that information should be in front of the planning office at least by tomorrow, if not today. And the rest of the information that's required is in that application that I gave you there with the check and all the rest of the forms that you need.
So what's going on here with that?
So they're subdividing the 2 lots
Subdividing what? Yeah, well, the 10.5 acre piece of property into just 2 lots.
into 2 lots. So you've got
Right.
lot 1 here, lot 2 there.
Okay.
This is right on the corner of Page, the little green building they built a couple years ago.
Yep.
It's got all the land. And then there's another driveway where they store wood along the cemetery, that abuts the cemetery, am I correct?
Yes, yep, cemetery.
Yeah,
Yep.
and there's a whole lot that goes behind that.
Yes.
Where's the subdivision line is?
It's straight through the wetland area there.
Okay.
Used to go.
Okay, oh, right.
Which, is it the straight line or the line,
This is the
wetland?
The
and
double
that's
line?
the straight line is the, yep.
Really?
Any questions? Toby's researching something, Matthew? Huh?
I have a brain freeze.
That's all right, it happens. It happens. One with a cold weather. Matthew, you all set?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. This is, the A&R process is only for the lines on the plan, right?
Right.
So, yeah, no, I have no questions.
Toby, Damon,
I'm good.
Good for now.
This looks straightforward.
Nathan?
I'm still trying to understand where it's subdivided. This is the edge of the wetlands, this is the brook, and this is where they're dividing it to the,
The dashed line should be the property.
You know what the percentage of the wetland is?
3/5, 2/5, 3/5.
which one is the,
I was looking at that, but that's not within the A&R thing, is it?
Yeah, and this is lot 2,
okay.
and then
And
lot
then,
1's
of course, you've
here.
got this perennial, well, it's a brook, so it's a perennial
Gotcha.
stream, so it's got the 200-foot
What's it required, for, it looks like it's got like 200.
And it's not, I mean, it's,
Gotcha.
And the cemetery's right here. It abuts the
Abuts the
cemetery.
cemetery,
And you
gotcha.
can always see, they always have like cords of wood for sale right at the
Yeah,
beginning
yeah.
of it.
Yeah, I know
So
what you're talking
that's
about.
right here.
Okay, thanks for
And
walking
then
me
the
through
little
that.
green store.
It's right there. Beautiful.
Are we all set?
Yep.
Any other questions for Wesley? Wesley, you know the 2-week time frame. Miriam will have her peer reviews. Any questions from the public? Seeing none. You want to roll?
Sure, I can roll.
Thank you. All right,
Do
thank
you
you,
roll this
Wes.
right up in it?
Yeah, roll that right up in it. Yeah, 2 weeks, our next meeting, yeah.
Same with the Elliott Road.
Yep. You're welcome. All right, anything else on Wesley 40's page? All right, now we'll move back to 136/150 Sunset Lane, the Bishalia family. Nice family.
I think you already have that material, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I was told that was presented to you.
Yes, the
Over
Bishalia
to-
family was already presented to
Okay.
us. This is, they already have an existing home across the street, they're building now a garage.
The question on this, Toby, was it the frontage?
On this one?
Do you have an elastic on that?
I have to take a look at it. This one doesn't.
Do you have a signing pen, or do you need one?
A what?
A signing pen, or do you need one?
No, we have pens right here,
Okay.
so those could start to get, we had a question on
We had
this. I think
questions that haven't been answered from...
Toby had a question.
Yeah, I did. I have to look at the plan again because I forget what the
Do you want
question is
someone
off the
down to
top of my
Toby?
head.
Okay. I'm gonna be at a disadvantage on this one. I haven't even seen this plan yet.
Come on up, take a look.
Wesley didn't give us the elastic. No, he opened it for, Wesley, did you take the elastic? See,
Let's get rid of the Mylar.
thank you. No, I'm good. Have a nice night. Thanks for coming in.
What are we doing here?
So is the entire thing one existing lot?
Looks like it, and then split by Sunset Lane.
There's a road that goes between the house and the garage.
I think they were transferring this to a neighbor, I think.
Oh, yeah, so that they have access, and there's no, must be some driveway that goes through their property, so they can bang that.
There's a whole road that goes through their property.
Yeah, this
But it
is
looks
right
like
away.
This driveway right here cuts through their property, so they're probably conveying that parcel, to get rid of the driveway easement issue. Yeah, that's it.
Is that the only thing coming out? Looks like it, unless these aren't standalone parcels now. Parcel A is not the only lot. Yeah, it's talking about just parcel A. There's your parcel again, Toby.
Yeah, I know.
That's probably what it was. You probably didn't like the fact that it was just a parcel hanging out there.
You know, we create
That's the
these
only-
little things and we're never sure
This
whether
is
or
all
not they
we
ever
have
get
to do.
conveyed.
It's the only way we have to do it. We don't get any other way to do it in Massachusetts.
It's crazy.
That's the only mechanism that we know how to do it with. It's easy, unless it's an 81X.
So this is the existing house, and what are they doing? They want to build a garage over here?
Yes, they bought the house across the street from them, from Bolio, and they are going to, I believe, build a garage. They're gonna take that down and build a garage.
Now, if this was agricultural land, it would be one parcel, but since it's divided by road and it's residential, it's two separate?
Yes,
Yeah, if that's a town road, then yes, yeah.
yes, Party
So-
Lane. I don't believe Party Lane's an accepted town road.
It's public though.
Public.
It's a
It's
public,
versus
yes,
private.
right away.
If it's
Yes,
private.
everybody has a right away to it.
So this looks like the only thing that they're conveying out though with this plan.
I don't remember having a problem with it.
I'm all set with it. Well, I pass it every day, so
I forget. This one doesn't ring a bell. It doesn't ring a bell.
What's the change that's happening?
Looks like just parcel A. There's a note at the bottom that talks about the parcel A to be conveyed. So usually we put notes on our A&Rs to talk about whatever's being created.
And there's no zoning chart either. Do we need one?
No, it just tells us that that's outlying. It doesn't put the other pieces on there. Don't you typically put the other pieces on there?
Outlying? Doesn't-
Only if we're creating new
they're only
lots.
conveying that one piece.
Okay, so you're only
We're only conveying a parcel.
Outlying is 80,000
It's
square foot
80,000.
minimum, right? And this is already... And they want to take more away?
No,
So what makes that conveyance complete is when they submit something to the registry of deeds with their updated lot plan for this parcel, like,
They
Oh, I
would
know
draft the
this.
deed for parcel A describing it and file that at the registry.
with the,
And
with
then once
the,
that is recorded, then you give that recording information to the assessor, and then the assessor would update the maps to show that parcel not being part of the adjacent piece of land.
okay,
They
gotcha.
needed that recorded deed that describes that parcel.
So this has to happen, we have to approve
Right.
this,
Yeah.
then they can do their thing,
Exactly.
and then they can do that.
And then
okay.
we tax them on that one piece of property.
Right. What was your issue, Tony?
Yeah, you remember now, Toby?
yeah, again, if we're conveying away a parcel A, even though it's a small piece of land, we're taking what is a non-conforming lot now and making it more non-conforming. And that's typically not good zoning practice or planning board practice. So that, to me, that's the issue.
I would
Because I'm
think-
now making a non-conforming lot more non-conforming.
But it's more non-conforming in a better way, because it's,
Well, as I understand the A&R, as I understand the A&R process, though, you only have frontage that you have to deal with. If the frontage, if it has nothing to do with area or zoning requirements, the A&R process doesn't even take into consideration area, coverage, none of that. It's only if you show the required minimum frontage for the zoning district.
And lot
And-
size.
Not lots of, no, not legally. Legally, the planning board only has to weigh in, or should only weigh in on the frontage issue. That's, the A&R process only deals with frontage, nothing else.
Yeah, but
Lot size is a zoning issue, and that's why we usually have a note on there. It does not, we usually have a note that talks about endorsement right here.
Endorsement of this plan designates that the frontage requirement of the protective bylaw of the town of Lunenburg has been met, but does not constitute compliance with zoning regulations as stated therein.
This is C. Lunenburg Zoning Board Appeals finding from November 4th.
So, yeah, so they probably had a finding to create that increasing nonconformity to take the area out. But as far as to protect the planning board for the frontage issue, that's why we put that note on, because you aren't signing or endorsing anything and say it meets zoning. You only have to deal with frontage as a planning board.
yeah, but as a representative, as I have a hard time creating a more non-conforming lot.
I don't have that
So-
decision, but I would
So I'd like to
imagine
see, I'd like to see the decision from the ZBA if that's indeed what they did.
it's probably what they would do.
If they did, then that's okay, but for me, it's creating a more non-conforming lots aren't what we're here to do.
all right, so we're not gonna sign the plan, we're gonna have Mary get the decision from the zoning board of appeals.
Online, right?
Yeah. I don't know where to find it, though. That's the only thing.
LunenburgMass.gov.
First of all, let me see.
Are
Okay.
we supposed to sign this tonight?
Yes,
Is the period over?
yes.
So if the period's over, then, and we don't sign it, then for all intents and purposes, I believe it's constructively then approved, right?
If they want it to be that way.
If they want it to
But
be
it-
that way.
I didn't hear
We
what,
can, we can still make, somebody can make a motion to approve it and sign it, and I can just choose to not approve it. and
I
sign it.
wish I would have found out if this was really critical or not before I came here. I don't know if 2 weeks makes a difference or
Yeah.
not. I wish I had that information. Because if I knew for sure it didn't, I would say, don't even worry about it, just go to the next one. But if it is, I hate to say no.
Well, if it's only taking that parcel out, I don't know what it really.
Yeah, it probably isn't.
So,
No,
make a motion to approve the plan respectfully. I guess it's Toby's point there, but I don't think 400 square feet is going to destroy the neighborhood.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion.
Is there any kind of a lake zoning overlay district at all? I mean, there's a lot of small lots out there. It seems like there's a good number of them that are less than 2 acres.
Yeah, but those are all grandfathered. lots.
Grandfathered.
Yeah. Okay, Nathan, any questions?
No, I think I understand the conversation so far, and no questions.
Okay, so,
Actually, one question.
We're probably making one lot more non-conforming and making another non-conforming more conforming, so the net effect is zero.
Well, you're saving headaches by, I can't imagine having my driveway on somebody else's property. If this gets legal issues of a driveway on your own property that you use, I mean, that's really, I think, all it's for.
right, and that's why,
Yeah.
Right. No, just like, when did they? Oh, November 4th, 2013. Yeah, I couldn't find their minutes for November 4th.
Okay.
so all in favor of accepting the plan as submitted for 362, I'm sorry, 136/150 Sunset Lane? All in favor?
I don't feel that we've got the information, so I'm not going to say yes.
So you're no?
It's one or the other. I can't abstain.
Yeah, no, you can abstain.
Abstain.
I'll abstain.
Okay.
Thank you.
No.
In favor?
In favor.
Yes. Okay, so it passes 3 to 2.
1 and 1 abstention.
Correct, 3, okay.
We don't get too many of those.
No.
3, 1, and 1. Okay.
So, we gotta sign
Division.
that,
Yeah, you guys
and the
gotta sign it.
pens are
We got signed Dave.
right here and here.
So we can abstain and say no, but we
We're
still have to
going.
sign.
Jesse, thank you so much for
Great.
coming, it was great seeing you.
Do I have to sign it?
Do I sign this now, or?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
we all signed it.
Yeah, see, I've had that thought about
Well, just the three of us sign it, right?
Well, I think we,
The three that approved it.
okay. Usually, we would sign, even if I said no and it passed, it's,
What's the date today? The 15th?
today is the 14th, no, 13th.
13th?
13th. Monday, the 13th. Okay, I'm gonna move along while we're signing, is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Perfect. I would take a motion to accept the email minutes that we received from 12/9/13.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
You have a second.
Thank you. All in favor? Any discussion? Let me go with that first. All in favor?
Aye.
No. Oh, we gotta sign all of them? Oh, jeez.
There you go, so you can take that, Jesse, and then we could sign the other as we finish. All right, so the minutes are going down.
Yes.
Committee reports, Matthew, MJTC, what do we got going on there?
We have not had a meeting.
Okay.
I believe it's the third Wednesday.
Perfect.
No meeting yet.
MRPC, we have not had a meeting due to the holiday. Our next meeting is the last Tuesday of the month, so. Nathan, School Building Committee, congratulations again. What a feat, great job.
Oh, thanks. No, a lot of, as you said, a lot of people worked hard on that. I want to thank everybody here for, participating, in the process. I think we had some good discussions on the board, and, regardless of the people's opinions, they contributed to getting a quality decision by helping the town understand the different sides of the issue. So, I hope, I appreciate everybody's contribution.
And I just want to make sure, and Toby, maybe you can recap for us, because I know there's always, I want to make sure that the planning board is facilitating and doing what they need to do to make sure it runs smoothly, that they, like when I was on the building, DPW, it didn't come in front of us when it should have, and I just want to make sure that whatever municipal involvement the planning board has, that we're not holding anything up, that we're making sure we're doing what we can to support the facilitation of it.
You're not aware of anything at this point?
I did get asked an interesting question at some point.
Sure.
Which was, will the project need a site plan review? I don't know. I didn't know the answer to that question when I was asked it.
I still think it would.
But that might be something we want to talk to Marion and council about and provide, advice to the school building committee on.
And that was part of the question, I guess, is because when the primary school was done, how did that play, Toby, when they built the primary school?
I don't believe there was any review and engineering that went on for that particular thing, to tell you the truth. I don't know that the municipality is required to do so.
And I believe that was the answer I got for the DPW, and then when the DPW was in the middle of it, it was no, the planning board did need to sign off, and so then they did do a quick plan, and we backpedaled, so I just don't want to backpedal.
Yeah.
I don't know. On the school, I'm not sure.
I don't think it would hurt for us to review it. I mean,
Yeah, I see a lot of positive
Yeah,
and less, yeah.
It would be nice to review.
And I believe they always ask for someone to be on the committee, like Len Sleed was on the committee at the time for the primary school. So when that all starts and they get the building committee going, they usually ask for a planning board representative, so.
Yeah, so they haven't dissolved the school. My understanding is the school building committee is still meeting, and it's, I guess it's now more of a construction oversight role, or, make sure things are on time and on schedule. We're meeting this week. I think I'll get a better understanding of what the role is. We obviously have professionals who are primarily responsible for construction oversight and maintaining schedule and whatnot, but I think it's sort of the town of Lunenburg's interface with that process to some extent. And there'll be, I'm sure, a subcommittee of smaller, more active members of the school building committee that'll be more engaged in that as well. But, you know, obviously with that approved, you know, Damon made some great points at the beginning of the meeting about, you know, how this kind of underscores, you know, some of the need for us to look into, you know, economic development issues. It's also, I imagine, going to bring a sharper focus in some of the town building reuse stuff that Damon's involved with as well. And I mean, in general, it's because of the magnitude of the change, it's probably going to put some more impetus behind a lot of the efforts we have underway. So it's exciting times, I guess.
Absolutely. And if there was such a committee, I would nominate you to serve on that, Nathan. It's kind of like you watched it walk, and now you want to watch it grow. So think about that because I would definitely support.
Yeah, so far, just to be clear, if you guys wanted to swap somebody else, and that would be fine with me. So far, my understanding is the same committee is continuing.
And we support that wholeheartedly.
Okay, yeah, if you wanted to change it, I'd be okay with that.
I don't. I think you've done a great job in supporting us. I think you've been a great advocate on that committee and look forward to seeing you staying on there.
Oh, okay, thank you.
As long as you want to, and the other board members, I think they feel the same. I don't want to take ownership for your feelings, but I just did.
Well, you just did.
So, no, I thank you. I think you've done a great job. All right, Capital Planning Committee, Marion's not here.
You skipped me. Just skip right over Damon.
Oh, I did? Sorry, Damon. Building Reuse Committee.
There is nothing new, but I expect to hear soon from our chairman about moving forward since the school got approved, so.
And I was sad to hear about Pat Slattery. I just think he's a phenomenal man and has done a great job. So to see him resign from Historical Commission and...
No, he's been working for the town for a long time now. He's tired.
Yeah. He's so calm and patient, and I just think he's such a great asset to the committee. So
he really has been for a number of years now.
Yeah, it was a shame.
We're going to miss him.
I just think he's great.
And we're also looking for someone on the Historic Commission to try to fill his void. We need another member if anyone's interested.
Okay.
Fill out the talent bank form.
There you go. Fill out talent bank form. Capital Planning Committee, Marion's not here. Green Committee, Marion's not here. Matthew, Agricultural Commission, what's going on there?
The last meeting was canceled due to lack of quorum.
Okay. All right. Planning Developer Review. Let's see what she's got in this nice big folder. Do we have the minutes back so I can put this away? What's CPC? Thank you. Capital Planning Committee.
Joanne, do we need to sign this?
Yes. Damon and I did. You're all set to leave it just like this? These are the copies for Marion.
Oh, okay, got it.
This is the sunset.
Thank you.
We gave him the Mylar.
Oh, got it.
Thank you all for signing the minutes. Now, Marion did have a folder on CPC, which is her capital plan. Please note that the item concerned pavement management plan is not listed. Oh, she just has a list of what they're looking for. Does anybody want to look at that while we're...
I'm good.
Okay.
I would like to look at that.
Okay, send that on down to Matthew. He can look at that while we're talking. Highfield Village currently expires on January 31st, and I believe that the expectation is that they're coming to our January 27th meeting with the status update. That was my understanding. I'll confirm that with Marion, and I also have a note to check with Marion because Matthew was looking for the PDF and has only gotten half of it on that subdivision, so I want to make sure he gets the complete document. So I'll make a call on that tomorrow.
Have we received an extension request from them yet?
Not as of yet. It expires January 31st.
Okay.
And our next meeting on the 27th, they should be in front of us, is my understanding.
Okay.
Highfield Village.
If they failed to get us an extension request and failed to come before us to give us a verbal one, we'd be in kind of a pinch because we can't really approve it we can't approve an extension unless they make a request for one. And we
Right.
would actually, and if we didn't deny it, we would risk constructive approval.
Yep. You are correct.
Okay.
Right. Force Corp, she's just saying that it's an information meeting, is going to be continued on the 27th. We already did 50 Elmwood.
So did they have a technical meeting, Force Corp?
It doesn't say.
Okay.
And there's no folder here.
Okay, gotcha.
So
No,
she
but-
must just be holding it till the 27th.
That was the wood prefab?
The Wood Place, right off of 70.
Yeah, I went to that conservation meeting.
Oh, yeah, how'd that go?
It was interesting. Now that's a reuse, right? So I think that we should get together and require that they discontinue the driveway that's on the corner, because they intended to have that be a tractor-trailer pullout, and there's just nowhere near enough sight distance for even a vehicle pullout. I don't know if you guys are very familiar with it, but they had 2 driveways. I think we should have them discontinue one of them. And I think that's within our purview because it is a change of use. It's a very sharp corner and people go very fast around it, and I have tested it myself a number of times, and there's just not enough sight distance to have tractor trucks pulling out.
We were going to have a full conversation about that, right? We kind of deferred
On
to
the
conservation.
27th, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for looking at that. I look forward to that conversation. Yeah, because it sounds like there's some traffic safety stuff. There's also some design bylaw stuff involving like the curb cuts and the areas they've currently designated as parking areas. So I think we should have a lot to talk about.
I just didn't want to get swept under the rug.
No, and they'll be in front of us on the 27th, so that's something we can bring up there as well. Whitewood's just their weekly report. They're doing everything they're supposed to be doing. Let's see. 4 and 10 Jacqueline Drive have just touched up work to do. Essentially 2 more days on hardwood floors and paint. So they're doing the inside now. Emerald Place, weekly update. She has nothing in a folder, so there must not be anything to talk about. The only thing she has left are Chase Road and Pleasant Street, the 2 solars. They're clearing vegetation on Pleasant. That's their only weekly update. And on Chase, clear and grub removal is what they're working on the 2. So they're just doing vegetation removal on the 2 solar, one on Pleasant and one on Chase. Citizen survey update, she doesn't have anything in the folder, so she must have just wanted to tell us some numbers. Conservation notices, those were in our packet. Steve, 615, 617 Lemonster Road, exiting driveway will be separated into 2 driveways. Work within buffer zone and minor earthwork to establish new driveway location. 331 Mulpus Road, replacement of septic system. 58 Spring Street Extension, replace rock wall with pre-manufactured blocks while lake is in a drawdown. 508 West Townsend Road, excavate for new garage 72 feet from wetlands. That's just conservation update. Nothing to do with us, just FYIing us. And then they have a revised agenda for January 15th. Do you want me to read through what's on the agenda?
For
Anything
conservation?
Yeah, conservation's agenda.
I don't.
Mary? Okay,
Thank you.
that's it on that. Now, I had, let's see, oh, all right, that's under members' issues. Okay, meeting schedule, our next one is at the Ritter Building on January 27th at 6:30. Then we will meet February 10th at the Town Hall, February 24th back at the Ritter. All meetings are at 6:30 PM.
Question. Just like, what is the reason we're alternating between spaces?
I think it was that we were doing 1 month on TV because
Okay.
of the PAC people and
Ah, gotcha.
So it was, we weren't on TV, and we said, no, at least have one meeting on TV.
Got it.
So,
Makes
I mean,
sense.
if you want to look at having all of them on TV, that's something Marion can talk to Kerry in the PAC, but it was, at the time, we weren't on TV, and I was a strong advocate to get us on TV.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we said, okay, we'll do one a month on TV, one off.
Okay.
We could revise that now that it's all
Yeah,
on YouTube.
that's what I said,
Well, I mean,
absolutely.
it's all on YouTube now, so we don't even have to be, oh, no, we need to be televised to be on YouTube, of course. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Any public comment? Any board comment? All right, now I have, the marijuana dispensaries did not go through, so we've got to work really hard to make sure on the May ballot we have article and a medical marijuana bylaw. So I talked to Marion last week, and she was swamped and didn't think she could have anything for the meeting. So I spent a couple hours online. And Hill Law, are you familiar with Attorney Hill? The town of Lunenburg's used him on a couple things, Dan Hill.
Yeah.
He had a nice municipal marijuana bylaw that I had this was just me on my own time, that I sent that we could start to have some conversation on. And then there were a couple towns, Dennis, Norwell, Fairhaven, that had some already did bylaws that I copied in there. And I liked that, but now that I'm looking in Marion's folder, I see also these big packets from Copeland and Page that I don't know if she wanted us to have them or not, but I'm gonna pass them out. I hope she doesn't, I hope that's
yeah.
what I was supposed to do.
That's probably right. We need one more.
One more?
One more. Thank you.
There you
Great,
go.
thanks.
Tough to ask for a tree plan when we're killing them like this.
Yeah, now Copeland charges us for stuff like this, right?
I would assume so, yes, they didn't do all this for free. But the Hill one, the first thing we gotta start to think about is, do we wanna make this special permit? Do we wanna make it, we have a couple options to do. And we could do it with a special permit, we can do an overlay.
Myself, I don't have incredibly strong feelings one way or another, but I would really like to get the chief of police before us to give his concerns.
Well, and that was the conversation. I'd like to have meetings with the zoning officer, the fire department, and the chief of police, because it's gonna impact all of them with these dispensaries. And as Nathan talked about at the last meeting, what concerns me more are the dispensaries in home that people can't get out, that we don't know about, that they're setting up their own little lighting system to funnel the growth of their home plant. So I want to make sure we come up with a viable way that anybody that gets a license to do that in Lunenburg is notifying the fire. But this was verbiage to start us going on, and it's a lot between what Marion did. I don't know.
Yeah, I was just looking, for myself, we can talk in circles about it as long as we want, but it's going to affect them more directly, being the chiefs and the building inspector, so
Yeah.
the sooner we can get them before us, I think the sooner we can get through this.
Agree. But this part, like all this stuff, they need to kind of see in front of them as well. If it's going to be by special permit, because it does talk about the different things that will encompass annual reports that they have to give the clerk every year. They have to update their employees, who's working. They have to be over 18, and they have to provide birth certificates to the town clerk. So there's a whole funnel of things. And I just think for May, if we want this on May, that we can't keep putting it off on the agenda. So that's why I just did this, so you could start to read and kind of check off, yeah, we want this in our bylaw, and start to move forward.
Thank you.
But it's a lot of reading, so.
Yeah, I agree. Well, thanks for putting that together. I mean, I think just having gone to town meeting the other day, I guess. So I think this is good to get this kind of information. I think, within, like, maybe if we could get on the agenda for next meeting, like by next meeting, do you think we'll have had a chance as individuals to review this material? I think what we want to understand at that point, well, we may not need to know at that point whether it's an overlay or a zoning bylaw or special permit or what. I think we want to understand what high-level goals we're trying to address. And I think, reading the bylaws that other people are addressing is one thing that'll help us. I think included in this thing here, I noticed that Kay Doyle's presentation is in here again. I recommend reading that as well. That gives a kind of a broader picture beyond just the perspective of just the regulation itself. It covers some of the surrounding issues. I think it's a great idea to bring the public safety officials, get their input in the process as well. But yeah, I think we want it maybe set up some time next meeting so we can hear from the public officials, and then maybe have a conversation among ourselves around what goals are we trying to address, in whatever regulation. What are we trying to do with whatever regulation we're trying to do? One thing, I think in the conversations we had, I think, our focus was around some of the, I guess if I had to characterize what I think our goals have been in terms of looking forward to putting some regulation in place, I think most of the conversation we've had have been around public safety. You've expressed a concern about, fire stuff. You and others have expressed concerns about the potential crime issues of cash and the facilities and whatnot. One thing going to the public, the town meeting that so I still think those things are important, and I think talking to the officials will help with that. An additional thing I think we got to keep in mind is the flip side of it too, which is I think a lot of people in town are going to be concerned about convenience of access for people who need access for medical reasons. So they won't want the facility, they won't want us to make it so restrictive that, they got to climb to the top of a mountain or whatever to, get it. Another thing is going to be, they will not want it to be unduly burdensome on either the operators of the facility or on the people using the facility or, hardship growers because of the importance of the services being offered. So we kind of have to strike that balance between making sure we have the regulations needed to address the critical issues, but not making it so burdensome that that it is an unnecessary hindrance to the people who stand to benefit from the opportunity, I guess.
Absolutely. But what I agree with everything you said,
Yep.
and we have to talk about every point you made, totally 100%. But I think what makes the process go smoother, even with the solar bylaw, is you start to put the bylaw together by adding what you want in there, and you have this viable document where we keep talking about it and no one's capturing it, and then next
absolutely.
next week we have those same, and I think that's why, because people are like, well, why did it take you so long to put the moratorium
Sure.
on? They passed it, and it wasn't, and someone said to me, one of the reporters said, oh, well, who dropped the ball? And it wasn't that anybody dropped the ball, it was on our agenda, but we kept talking about it, and you really need it in writing and cross out, add this, change this, and have a flowing document that
Yep.
we're working off of. So that's what I'm trying to create and get.
Absolutely. So can we do
keep
that
us-
next meeting then?
Yes.
I guess, for this meeting, just to plant the seeds, do we want to talk 5 minutes now about what each of us is on each of us minds in terms of priorities, in terms of as we're crafting this?
Yeah, if you want, if you've got them in your thought process, I know I do.
Do you want to
I'll
start?
start, sure. Joanna, we missed you at the town hall meeting.
But I heard Nathan did a great job.
He did a fabulous job. We, as a planning board, kind of got slammed, in my opinion, and I think that we deserve having been slammed. One of the speakers stood up and said, "Well, they've had this for months. Why haven't they put something together?" Very good question. As you say, it's been on the agenda, and we've talked about it a few times, and we've gone to the MRPC presentation, which wasn't until mid-December, right? We were gathering information, yes. Could we have gone with the ball and put something together? I think, yes, we could have. We've gone all over looking about public safety and who's going to do this and who's going to do that. Well, I think the mandate to regulate something was for locating these dispensaries, and that's that's what it is. And that's really, we've gone full circle and expanded extremely, I think, on the conversation about it. we're talking about something that's corporate or financial, money-making industry, and I think that we probably should have, and we can't back up, but I think we should just regulate it and say, well, it can go here and it can't go there, kind of thing, rather than being so worried about these other things. And that's just my 2 cents. I think that the town did, not overwhelmingly, but a 3-2 vote, voted for medical marijuana in the state, in the town. And, I was disheartened to have the selectmen be unanimous in disapproval. And we've been in discussion with them. Some of their members have come to our meetings and discussed this topic. And I mean, I just think it didn't present a very unified front to the people, I mean, in sitting in their shoes, and I have for 40 years, what do these boards do? Do they talk to each other? I think this is a big enough thing that it might warrant a joint board meeting. And maybe not, I don't know, but I just think that we should get more done than we actually do. Just my opinion.
Okay. Toby?
I've got nothing right now.
Okay. Damon?
Yeah, like I kind of said before, I mean, I don't have a real strong feeling either way. I mean, I see both sides. If it's a business, it helps people who need it. But on the other side, what does it do for your community? I mean, and also, just myself looking forward to uncertainty. Medical marijuana now is for people with like chronic disease, but is that going to be a moving target? Medical marijuana in California, there's big signs on the street, come in and get approved. I mean, because if that's going to happen, then it's a totally different story, and I don't think that'll really warrant a different situation in our bylaw. I mean, it could probably just get grandfathered in. So that's uncertainty for me. But like I said, either way, I mean, if there's strong feelings from the public or from the public safety officers, that would sway me either way, because right now I'm kind of indifferent.
Okay. Nathan?
So yeah, just a couple of things. So, to what Matt's talking about the process, and some of that resonates with me. In fact, I asked Marion to stick another topic on our agenda for today, which I think it's following this one, about process, and I kind of feel similar that he does. I don't want to end up in a town meeting. This is not the first time, unfortunately, that we've, as a board, invested in bringing a bylaw before the town in order to find out at town meeting that the Board of Selectmen opposes. A significant chunk of the Board of Selectmen, or in this case, the entire Board of Selectmen, unanimously oppose what we're doing. So I think there's some things we can do in terms of process. I mean, I think in retrospect, we could have done some things better that would have avoided that, and I'd like to talk as a board about maybe adopting some of those process things so we can not end up in that position, kind of to what Matt was saying. In terms of as we're going to craft this, and hopefully we can, get this done pretty soon, I guess, we've talked about public safety. The biggest public safety thing I'm concerned about is, I've done some reading about states where it's been done. And, just to be clear, I have no problem with medical marijuana I don't have any problem with patients receiving medical marijuana. I won't get into my personal views about marijuana as a whole. I mean, honestly, I think I will get into it. I mean, I think ultimately broader legalization will reduce some of the problems presented by the current state medical law. Actually having it be legal for non-medical use and not having a price restriction would actually mitigate some of the issues that are some of the things I think we may need to mitigate with regulation now. And in fact, what I've heard is that national organizations are planning to bring broader legalization to the mass ballot. So I think that's something that we can reasonably expect to, if not pass, at least be an issue. Like Colorado's, exactly. So I guess in terms of what we're dealing with now with the existing, regulation of the siting of these facilities, the single biggest public safety concern I have is the fact, I'm concerned. There have been reports there have been some fairly high-profile armed robberies in and around these facilities. And I just want to make sure that, that's the thing that concerns me the most. So I think, getting the chief of police's feedback, understanding if there's something we can do in terms of citing to mitigate that, improve the response time, deter anyone who would be attracted. The reason for that is, at this point in time, insurance companies aren't picking up the tab consistently on this. It's mostly not covered by insurance at this point. Hope that there's a good chance that'll change. And because it's illegal in federal law, either experiencing this in Colorado, banks and financial institutions are very hesitant to do any kind of business with operations that are involved in this trade. So the result is, in many cases, these organizations can't process credit cards, which means that, and I don't know how checks work. So there's an issue with becoming a cash business and with a large amount of cash. So anyways, that's my main public safety concern. I don't think it'll be impossible to address that, but that's what it is. Another concern I have is, residential, even if I do think we should cite them in commercial districts. I think, I don't think there's a reason to permit these in residential. I think if we make it clear, that'll reduce the chance that we have people citing them on, residence districts, on farmland, in residential neighborhoods where, I think we'll be in a better position to deny if we actually have something that says it's only supposed to be in commercial. And the other thing is, just even if it is in commercial, some of our commercial districts have, they still have residences in them. And so maybe some protections for abutters, if maybe there are already enough in I'd have to review what our commercial bylaws are, but, screening, that type of stuff, setbacks, just make sure that, it's, I think that's, there's, just like with our other businesses, there's, whereas I might feel great about medical marijuana and not be concerned, I think just because of the newness and whatnot, making sure that there's additional protections for residents who may not be super excited about having a facility that's somewhat an experiment in terms of the status of it with respect to federal law and state law. They might at least want some bushes, between them and the parking lot or that kind of thing. So that's what I'm thinking about and looking forward to talking about in more detail. And I'm really excited that you want to, start recording the stuff as we go into like next meeting and whatnot.
Well, and that, for me, my goal is, because I think there was, that people were emotionally thinking we were banning medical marijuana, which was not what we were doing. I think we all support medical marijuana. It's just zoning it in the right places and creating the bylaws for our town to make sure they're run efficiently. I think they're two separate things. Medical marijuana is the type of service you're providing. What we were looking for a moratorium was to make sure they're in the right places and we have all these things in a row. So my goal is to create the best bylaw we possibly can for the town of Lunenburg that encompasses us being user-friendly with medical marijuana dispensaries. And I don't think it's that hard to sit, it's time consuming, but to sit and write down what that bylaw is going to be and have it for the May meeting. I think we all have the same goals that, we want it in commercial, we don't want it 500, 1,500 feet from a school. What's that number? Yep. Is it 500? Is it 1,000? Is it, you look at all the data I was reading, some say they want it, 1/4 a mile from a park. Well, so those are the type of things do we want it 1/4 mile? Do we want it a half a mile, a mile? So those are the things we have to look for and have the rules and regs for those people to open it up, but not at all are we against medical marijuana or trying to boycott the presumption of medical marijuana. We just want to make sure we're putting these in the right places and that we are facilitating a user-friendly atmosphere with them, with the dispensaries that want to come into Lunenburg. So, and I want to get it done as soon as possible. I don't want to be running around in May trying to get this done and have a public hearing the night before it's going on the ballot. So I want to make sure that once we have our bylaw created, that we have public forums, that we go in front of the Board of Selectmen, just as Dave Matthews came in front of us for the school, that we go in front of the Board of Selectmen. This is our bylaw. Will you support it? Do you support it? Do you have anything you would like to add, delete, take in, take out, and partner with them to do that? So those are kind of my goals.
Could I add? And if you don't support it, in what ways could we change it so that you would?
Right, exactly. Well,
Yeah.
that's where you get into the add and change, so that when we are going to the town meeting, we're going as a unified front. Absolutely.
That would be nice.
Yes, no, absolutely. So, all right. So, read, highlight things that you like in the packet from Copeland and Page, the packet from Hill Law, and like I said, Dan Hill, we've used on the sewer, we've used them on the zoning board of appeals. They just used them last year on a big 40B for the zoning board of appeals, so he had some good stuff as well. And I haven't read Copeland and Page. I went on their website and I couldn't find anything on it, so I did try them first. But, all right, so with that, we're done with the medical marijuana. Anything else on it? Okay, Nathan, you added town social media policy update. Did you have something you wanted?
Can we put this, I just was looking for an update because.
Sure. So push that out till the 27th?
Let me give you an example. Yeah, so we don't have a town, so, I mean, my understanding was we should not have a Facebook page because we don't have a town social media policy yet. I think town social media is kind of happening in the absence of the policy, which is probably a good thing, but we're either going to have a policy or we're not. We're trying to do the right thing and wait for the policy, but what's the date? When's the policy coming, kind of
That's
thing?
fair enough.
And not only that, I mean, how many other town, not necessarily boards or committees, but how many other town entities have Facebook pages? I mean, there's 2 Town of Lunenburg Facebook pages.
Neither of them run by the town, I don't think.
Right, and I've inquired on the more popular one and have not gotten any response at all as to who it was or what their agenda is or anything.
All right. So we'll get some answers on that. Bylaw presentation for town meetings, board process, do we kind of touch base on that? Is there more you want to add?
Well, I think we touched base on a lot of it, and so I guess I would just like, and I think, you and Matt and, Toby and Damon, you guys have touched on a lot of what I had wanted to talk about. I guess I would be looking to, I kind of want to firm up though, like, I don't know if we need to document or what, but yeah, I think what you guys just said makes a lot of sense. I was trying to break it down, and I guess, so we got to end up with let's say we have a topic, we want to end up with a bylaw for town meeting. So it seems like there's a few phases of it, and I guess there's a few phases that I want to make sure we hit. Like, there's a research, we kind of research our options, learn about the issue, proposals, alternatives. This is the place where we often kind of get stuck, as you recalled, and so that's I think it's, to your point, I think we got to be conscious of that and work to move ourselves more quickly through that. Exactly. To the point we just discussed, you were talking about, okay, Board of Selectmen, how do we interface with them? I think that's a great idea. I guess once we do what you were saying is a planning board, we write down, just an initial proposal. I guess I would just want to maybe we should do at that point a preliminary public hearing, not a public hearing where we're going to come out and we're going to say it's done, but just like come in with something we've deliberated on. We feel like it's probably in the right direction, but I guess I feel like sometimes, when we go into public hearings, we go in too late in the process, so it's kind of like
They're already mad.
well, either they're already mad or we're already in a posture where it's already so late in the process, we can't do anything. Like in the extreme case, we have, the last one where it was like public hearing a day before town meeting. It
It didn't help anyone.
right. We weren't really going to be able to, that wasn't helpful for us. So I guess, get the preliminary one in so we can have the benefit of public opinion, understand, and that way we're in a better position. So basically we can have that, get some more input, and have an opportunity to refine our draft and maybe nearly finalize it. Not totally finalize it, but incorporate what we learned from the public. Maybe they give us some information that changes how we think we should put it together. Then go before Board of Selectmen, like I think what you said, just like they did with us. I mean, that's like the school building committee did with us. That's the right way to do it, I think, because to avoid the kind of all these committees are busy. You could say, oh, well, they should have come to us and said they were going to disagree with us. But you know what? They're busy. They're the Board of Selectmen. So we don't want to end up in that position. Let's go before them, I guess. And then, again, I think we got to be prepared. They might have things to tell us that make us change what we write. So we have to be prepared to revise again. And so then after the Board of Selectmen, potentially revise if needed, then have an official public hearing. And then, at that point, bake the draft. I mean, if we hear things at the official public hearing changed, okay, we revise it. But at that point, we've heard from the public twice, Board of Selectmen once. We should be able to bake it and go to, get on the warrant or whatever.
Absolutely.
So-
All right, anything else on that?
Are we still talking, was that still about the medical marijuana?
No, that was under his bylaw presentation for town meetings, board process. But if you have something on, I'm not,
Well, I work with people that are also town officials, and they've mentioned that they have regular land board meetings, joint board meetings, The only time we seem to do that is when we have to cover our butts and talk to the lawyers.
Toby implemented, because this has always been an issue, and a couple of years ago, Toby initiated a chairs meeting, and all the chairs of every board would meet once a month. The chairman of the Board of Selectmen, Conservation, Planning, Sewer, all the Board of Health, they would all meet and kind of talk about what's going on, and it was just getting people to go to the meeting. It was that they weren't getting a quorum because people are busy, they already have meetings Tuesday and Thursday, and so it's just tough time-wise, but we have tried to do that, to have a monthly communication, and I know Kerry had thought they were very effective and was gonna try to work on getting those back. So, we can send another email to her and get her thoughts and see if she would still be in favor of that. But it is another meeting for volunteers to have to go to, and that's what I think the problem was, and I don't want to talk for Toby, but was that?
Yeah, I thought at one point in time, I thought they were starting to be effective, but, you have to have a continuous forum to do that and have those continuous meetings, but, I don't think there was enough active participation in them to do that, so they just kind of died on the vane. But those things happen because we're all busy.
Right.
Everybody works and has their commitments to the community, and then one extra night a month to do that. Sometimes it gets a little excessive, but
Well, that might be another reason. It could be not just the chairs, it could be the entire board, all the board members, because then you're more likely to have a quorum or decent turnout. If it's just one person out of 5, if all 5 had the opportunity to go and 3 showed up, that would still be better than just one, or none.
But then does it become a productive meeting if you have 7 boards with 3 to 5 members from each board in that meeting? Does it become a productive meeting?
I think it would be more productive, more people to input.
No, I'm just thinking out loud, not saying you.
Sure. No, I understand.
I'm just thinking 30 people who now funnels that, who kind of directs the group, and it becomes.
It can be issues too in terms of, like if they're trying to actually really firm some things up and, is the people who show up, representative of the opinion of the board, there's some advantages to having it be like one representative or whatever. But I get there's advantages too to opening it up as well. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
So just one comment though, on those, it sounds like, I look at this, it's like, oh boy, that's going to be a really heavy process. But I mean, I think if we get in the habit, public hearings don't have to be a big onerous thing. You open them up. If there's people there, they want to talk, they say stuff.
Oh yeah, no, they're very easy.
You close them down.
Yeah, they're very easy. They're very easy. So, and we just got to get better at doing that, so. What, Toby?
nothing. I'm gonna reserve my comments. Public
For what?
Public hearings are nice. They solicit input, but that's not where our problem is.
What's that problem?
Our problem is getting the basic information we need to be able to craft these. Okay, that's where our problem is.
I agree.
Okay, so that's something that we need to work on internally here. We've got an internal issue that we need to focus on.
Okay. Any other, so that covered yours? Planning director is Norton Keel.
Town social media policy, yeah, we covered
Yeah,
that,
we
good.
covered
Yep,
that,
we're all set.
12714.
Yep, I'm good.
And then we have no executive session. So without further ado, I would look for a motion to adjourn for the evening.
I move that we adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Aye. Thank you. Great meeting.
thank you,
Great meeting.
likewise.
Thank you.